Welcome back for part two with Simon Thake, who's going to give us the roundup, the sporting roundup generally across Sheffield. Tony Currie has kindly agreed to remain for the second half. He's not been substituted. James Gregg has for this week. And by the way, I've been told to tell you that the gin and tonic I referred to, that I was asked for, that I referred to at the end of part one, wasn't for him. It was for her. Now, you can't see Elizabeth. She's across the studio. She declined to appear, Tony's other half. But she was the one who asked me. Honestly, you didn't ask me for a gin.
No, I didn't know.
He asked me for a glass of water. There we go.
Amazingly, Sheffield Life doesn't have the provisions. We don't have the facilities for gin and tonic.
Definitely not. We don't. We just about scraped together a cup of coffee.
Manage that.
Yeah. What was I going to ask? Hey, but drinking is something I've never asked you about before, because there were some no, but there were some world-class drinkers, I'm sure, in your time in football. Without no names, no pack drill. Did you ever partake much, or did you keep yourself supremely fit? And was that the secret of your success?
I had a regime. Nothing after Tuesday night. You know, but I never touched a drink of alcohol till I was 21. Thank you, Len Badger. He
introduced you.
He introduced me to Bacardi and Coke, believe it or not. And yeah, but I mean, there lots of drinking in those days. Yeah, of course there was. But you know, I definitely was. I had my regime, and you know, every team had half a dozen smokers in it as well. You know, that was and there's a lot of players that had 2 or 3 before the start of the game, and some at half time.
But not you.
But no names. Oh, not me. No.
No smoking. No drinking after Tuesday.
Everybody has a fag or two here and there, don't they, in their life? And I wasn't any different. But
do you think that was important to the way your career went and what you achieved? Did that play a part?
No, there was no problems with that. Any of that. No. None at all.
Yeah. No. I was looking at some Boxing Day football results the other day, and I think Blackburn Rovers, West Ham conceded 8 to Blackburn Rovers. You know, these sort of results used to, at home, this was. And so you naturally think about what happened on Christmas Day, don't you? You know, when you see these. I mean, this was Boxing Day 1963, I have to say, but yeah. Right, okay, shall we move on? Yeah, all right, okay. Let's move on.
I've got nothing to hide.
No, just before we go to Simon, just made a note of a couple of, I don't know if they were unusual occurrences, but this is the way Tony's career started at Sheffield United. Assuming, of course, that this research is right, you scored with a header in your first game for the Blades. Okay.
Yeah, and for everybody that thinks it was at the Cop End, and I've had so many people say that, I was there, there must have been 93,000 there that day, I'll tell you, because everybody I was there that day, you got your debut at the Cop End, the header. I said, no, it was the Bramall Lane end, which it was, 2-1, that made it 2-1, we won 3-2, and never won another home game after that, and got relegated.
Okay, well,
but there you go.
You weren't associated with headers later on, but that's because you played more deeper midfield.
Yeah, well, after 2 years of being I mean, I was scoring a few goals here and there, as I said, Watford reserves, Watford first team, and then I think I got 4 in 13 games in me first bit of the 67, 68 season, the back end of that, and then the goals sort of dried up, and I found myself making them more, and so I went into John Harris. I said, look. I said, put me in midfield. I said, I'm enjoying it. I enjoy making goals, and I think I can do a job for you. So that's what he did. And
it wasn't wrong, was it?
No, I wasn't wrong. No.
Neither was he, I suppose.
No.
Yeah. That was your first game you scored with a header. Your second United game after you joined them, you missed to get married, correct?
Yes, I did. Yes.
Right. He's not going to say any more than that.
Well, it was already arranged before I got the transfer to Sheffield United, and they obviously didn't think I was going to be in the first team straight away, and I didn't obviously either. No. But after a couple of reserve games and scored a couple of goals as a striker again, scored two reserve games, 2 goals, 1 in each game, and so John Harris put me in the team against Spurs, and Jimmy Greaves was playing, Dave Mackay, Pat Jennings, Mike England, Gilzine, Chivers. They had a right team out, and and we won 3-2, and I was playing against my idol, Jimmy Greaves. It was fantastic. And you couldn't swap shirts in them days. You wouldn't have even thought about swapping shirts, but...
how is he? Because
he's not good. Well. He's not good. He's, I speak to, well, I haven't for a while, but one of his sons is up here, lives in Sheffield, and I'll have to give him a ring, see how he is. But somebody did tell me he wasn't too clever lately. So.
Right, we'll come back to the present day. We'll drag Tony back to the present day because he still watches just about, well, most games, don't you?
Most home games, yeah.
Most home games. A little later. I'd also like to talk to him about, you may not have seen it, but the highlights of that 1992 Premier League game in which Brian Deane scored the first Premier League goal. It was against Manchester United. One or two things in there I noticed. But Simon, well, I don't know why we've allowed you on, to be honest.
Indeed, off the suspense.
Just give us some of your local natural dialect, and let's see if we can understand it.
You would like me to speak in a strong Brummie accent, or that yam Big Al.
No, I don't.
Sorry.
I wouldn't really like you to speak it up, but it's very good.
Yeah, I can do it after a few drinks. It's not a problem. But
you've had a few drinks, haven't you?
Yeah, so exactly. So I'll do the round.
Gin and tonics. I've
had those gin and tonics. Shall I do the roundup in a normal accent for you?
You can do the roundup in a normal accent after you've admitted which team you support.
Yeah, well, I've lived in Sheffield for 10 years, but actually my heart lies a bit further south in Birmingham, and it's the Claret and Blue side of the city.
Claret and Blue, not doing very well, are they?
No, it's not been a great start. I think if you were to look at a championship side and think the blueprint for promotion, Steve Bruce looks like the right manager. They've gone and got John Terry. This is all perfect. But yeah, 1 point after 3 games.
Yeah.
Not fantastic.
It's not good.
Tough league.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we'll see. They've got Norwich this weekend.
And one of the promotion places has already gone because Tony's awarded
I was listening,
it.
Yeah, so runners up. Was that Villa to come first or someone else maybe?
I don't know. Want me to pick one? I really don't know. Wolves?
Yeah,
Wolves are highly fancied. Spend a lot of money.
Good, aren't they?
I don't want to say Cardiff.
Yeah.
Right.
Neil Warnock can be guaranteed to have. It was inevitable that Cardiff were going to knock on the door this season. He's a good manager.
Oh, it certainly is.
Yeah.
It certainly is. Yeah. Nothing wrong with him.
What's going on?
Okay, let's start with a bit of ice hockey. So back in the 90s, Sheffield Steelers had a captain by the name of Rob Wilson. I don't know if you remember him, but he was the kind of brute on the team who could certainly handle himself on the ice. He's returning to Sheffield with his new side, Nuremberg Ice Tigers, this weekend. They're taking on the Steelers. Face off 7 o'clock on Saturday. They're playing on Sunday too. That will be 5 o'clock. Basketball, Sheffield Sharks captain Mike Tuck has signed a new contract. And this is an interesting one because he's not only going to be the captain, he's also got a sort of role behind the scenes as well. So he's going to be the marketing commercial manager. So presumably one eye on retirement as well and what will happen next. Yeah. And I was just thinking, I can't imagine footballers having that kind of role sort of on the pitch as a player, captain, and then kind of marketing manager as well. Seems an unusual role.
Absolutely. I think it's an ideal appointment, though. Mike Tuck has been in here twice, maybe 3 times. He's a great guy, a great ambassador for his club. You can tell that quite naturally. And Mike, wish you all the very best in that role. I'm sure you do very, very well.
And we've got an interview with Mike on Monday on Sheffield Live News, so look out for that.
Yeah.
Sheffield Eagles, this is the ongoing discussion. Where will their home pitch be? It looks like the Sheffield Council will approve. Richard Caborn and his friends are approving the Scarborough Group, so Kevin McCabe's policy, and they're going to have a stadium there on the Olympic Legacy site in Attercliffe. And now the discussions are going on with Sheffield Eagles and the Scarborough Group. Can they play their home games there? He's hoping, certainly.
Right. One time I thought they might move into Bramall Lane or at least play some, but they have done in the past, haven't they? Played a couple of games. Because I know Kevin McCabe, I think he's quite a rugby league fan.
Yeah, they're looking for an agreement, and hopefully that will be the deal, that Kevin McCabe will let them rent out, or we'll see what happens for next season. So that will be good.
Right, wish them well.
Cricket, Sheffield's Joe Root has scored a century.
Well,
of course he has.
Yeah, it's Thursday, tomorrow's Friday.
Yeah.
Day after that, Saturday.
Day follows night, and it is a day-night game against the West Indies at Edgbaston, so he's looking good. It was about 230 for 2 at tea when I was just checking beforehand.
Is he still in? He's still in.
Still in, still looking very good. I think Cook is in as well, so looking very nice. Yorkshire Vikings are in action tonight. They play the Northamptonshire Steelbacks for T20 action. Football. Now, you both know about this. Sheffield United, it's been confirmed, Richard Stearman out for a month with a hamstring injury after the Cardiff game. So whether they'll be in the market for a centre-back, I suspect they might be. Wednesday.
They are. I think Chris Wilder's confirmed that he might be going in. And I think Tony knows more about hamstrings than we do, but a month looks to me quite quick to get back.
It is, yeah.
Is that optimistic?
Probably. It just depends how much it's been pulled, isn't it? But you know, you can have a hamstring up to 6 to 8 weeks, easy.
Yeah. People go down as if they're shot when they get that.
Yeah, you hear the
very
pang,
painful.
don't you?
Yeah.
And talking of centre back, Sheffield Wednesday, and all the Owls fans have wanted a centre back. Have they not? They have finally signed one. Okay, so we've got Frederico Venancio. I believe I pronounced that right, not in a Brummie accent. Portuguese international, under 21 international, has arrived. He turned down Olympiacos in January, so hopefully he arrives with some pedigree. Derby, we're sniffing around Leeds too. I'm not going to pretend I've seen him play lots, but a lot of people are saying he's made of the right calibre, so we shall see.
Carlos Carvalho was speaking highly of him, and he knows his game very, very closely and very well. So that augurs well, I think.
Indeed.
As did a lot of Sheffield Wednesday's performance last night, particularly at the back end.
You were there, weren't you, last night?
I was there, and there was some noises off studio there for a minute. I don't know what they were. I think it's somebody opening a bottle of something. But anyway, slightly distracted, but they arguably deserved more than a point. I thought a point was about fair because Sunderland could have been more than one up at half time. Wednesday were a bit all over the shop at the back, but second half really pulled it together, and it last 20 minutes was terrific, electric. So
sort of playing that a bit more expansive football, aren't they? Bannon's getting further forward as well.
They are. The fact that they've only scored 2 goals in the 3 league games is perhaps a bit misleading, because in the 2 home games I've seen, it's absolutely obvious that the approach is a lot more expansive than it was last season. It's not really clicked into gear fully yet, but it's obvious that they're trying to be more positive, get the ball forward quicker and earlier, get more crosses in, and hopefully that pays off in the long run.
One player that can certainly score goals, and people are always talking about George Hurst and where he will go. So you may know more about this. Is he going to Rotherham on loan? That's kind of the latest rumour, speculation.
I kind of broke the fact that Rotherham had made a move for him on one night this week, Tuesday night, hearing from good sources, and that's subsequently been confirmed. But they're one of many clubs. You can imagine, that George Hurst is likely at some stage to be going out on loan. Crikey, who wouldn't? Who in the lower leagues wouldn't want him? I don't know if you've seen him or know much about him, Tony.
No, nothing really.
40-odd goals last season, under 23s and other levels, young England as well. And the name as well, because of who his father is. People are going to be more alert to him, aren't they? But he's not living on his name.
No, absolutely
definitely not.
It looks the business, doesn't it? It looks like Rotherham may be the club. Leicester bid, already turned down, of course. Yeah,
Carlos Carvalho made it very clear last night. He likes the way Rotherham play their football. He likes the coach. He likes Paul Warne. There's a good rapport between the two of them. Feels that Paul Warne would take care of his player. But ultimately, Sheffield Wednesday wants him to agree a contract. That's been going on for a while, a new contract, before they allow him out on loan. So that's really, the sticking point just at the minute.
Be one to watch. And finally, very quickly, FA Cup. The preliminary rounds are starting this weekend, amazingly. So Sheffield FC are at home to Ossett Town. They've just had 1 point in this season. And Stocksbridge, they're also in cup action. They travel to Colwyn Bay.
I noticed, by the way, that you mentioned Sheffield FC. Richie Humphries is signing for them. The ex-PFA chairman, ex-Sheffield Wednesday, ex-Chesterfield, left Chesterfield at the end of last season, and he's joining them for a short-term basis, at least.
Could still do a job, I'd imagine.
I'm sure he would. I'm sure he could at that level. And he said he started his interest in football actually supporting Sheffield FC, which, he supported his local team. Oh, by the way, I don't know if you've ever heard of Steve Cook. I'm trying to remember him. He was at Hillsborough as a youth coach up until 1996. Well, he's got a top job in America. He's been appointed as interim head coach at Colorado Rapids in MLS. So good luck to you, Steve. That think tank of former players, Tony, of which you are one, that Chris Wilder has used quite regularly. I don't know. When he came in, he rounded you all up, didn't he? Yourself, Badge, Ted Hemsley, spoke, I think, to Danny Wilson's a great mate of his as well. Brought you all in to pick your brains. Does that
well, Danny did that. Danny did that. Managers don't do that. I've been at the club now. It'll be 30 years in February since I come back, and that's you know, had me 8.5 years as a player, 38.5 years. But no, in the 30 years I've been back, no manager's ever asked anything apart from Danny, and Chris is approachable. He learns. He's learning all the time, isn't he? But he's appreciative of anything that we've got to say. Yeah.
Does it surprise
the Three Stooges, as Emsley calls us?
Right. Does it surprise you that other managers haven't done?
I think it is myself. You know, but I've never pushed myself. I've just stayed in the backgrounds and let them get on with it. You know.
But it's nice to feel involved, though, isn't it? And you know, I know you're involved around the club, but it must give you a buzz to be sort of having conversations involving the football. Yeah, if he
needs anything, he knows where we are, knows how to get in touch, and he will do it, and he'll he will if he wants to. He will. And
he's certainly not proud to ask, is he? Not too proud to ask people.
Oh no. Great man.
1992, that game, Sheffield United 2, Manchester United 1. It was shown again in its entirety from Match of the Day tapes this week, in which Dino scored the first Premier League goal. I watched the first half. There's a couple of things I noticed. There were no histrionics over being tackled or fouled, it seemed to me, and it was quite a tough game at times. The tackles were flying in, as you can think of a Dave Bassett team.
It would be, yeah.
Yeah, and there were no histrionics. Either about scoring a goal, it was just a brief celebration and go back. The other thing I particularly noticed, there were no close-ups and no focus whatsoever on the benches or on the managers during the game, which reminded me, made me think how many shots there are cut away to the touchline now. Do you think it was better then or not? Do you think that was a...
Well, it's all sensationalism now, isn't it? I mean, you've got probably 20 more cameras at a game than there was in them days.
More to choose from, yeah.
Yeah, so you can get everything from every angle, which is good because, you know, nobody gets away with anything anymore, apart from linesmen's, apparently.
He's on his
I nearly kicked my telly in the other night, honestly, I did. You know, it's sensationalism, and it's what the public want, I suppose. It just makes a game, doesn't it? You know?
It's a bit of a pantomime, though, this touchline business, isn't it?
Well, it is, yeah, of course it is. It's.
Did you ever take notice?
It's a good word. It's a good pun.
Did you ever take notice of anything that managers or coaches shouted, or didn't they shout as much then?
Of course I didn't take any notice. I got on with my own game. Well, there's some players that you can talk to, some players you can't, some players you don't need to, you know, but...
You did your own thing.
You know, I mean, John Harris would never say anything.
He never swore, did he?
No, never drank, never swore. But the worst you got out of him was a blemming here and a blemming there. His blemming amby-pamby, you know. But Cess Caldwell, he would, you know, there'd be a few dodgy words coming out of his mouth now and again. But, you know, you took it and got on with the game. It was, you know, there was none of this... I mean, there was hardly any whistle, hardly any free kicks in our day. If you got whacked, you got straight up.
Yeah.
You know, and...
Is there an overemphasis on the influence of managers and coaches generally, particularly during matches? I mean, they can't really do very much standing there. And why are they standing there at the touchline anyway? Oh, that's me being an old fart.
Yeah, well,
tell me.
You hear a lot of players saying they prefer it when the manager's got that suspension is up in the stands and it's away from the technical one. There's no surprise there, isn't there? Especially those wingers who are quite near to the manager's dugout.
I mean, my vision was one of my biggest assets, but if I was a manager, would I stand on that technical area? No. Unless you have to, do you? I would be up in the director's box or somewhere and get a message down. Yeah. Like who used to do that? Sam Ellis did it with.
Sam Allardyce did it occasionally.
With Bolton, didn't he?
Nigel Pearson did at Leicester after he got suspended a touchline ban, and he thought, "Hey, this is a lot better. I can see a lot more."
Of course. I mean, how can you see through a load of crowded legs?
And can the players actually hear the manager?
They must do. They must do.
Choose to ignore
it makes you laugh, some of the antics, though, doesn't it? And they're giving it that, and they're...
Yeah.
It's for the gallery, isn't it?
Well, I think so. Yeah. It's. I don't know. I wouldn't be able. I wouldn't be able to remember if we had a meeting in the week and 5 or 6. If I do this, this means so and so. I wouldn't remember that. I'd have to take a bit of paper on the pitch with me. But
I think it's therapy for them. I don't think it does anybody else any good.
no.
Really.
But they do use a lot of footage, don't they, on the technical area?
They certainly do. They certainly do. Leeds United, believe it or not, when this show goes on YouTube, I get people from Leeds tuning in and watching, and I think they will do on this occasion more than most, shall we say. Yeah, I mean, you had good times there as well.
Great times, 3 years, and got to 3 semi-finals, lost every one. Well, it happens, doesn't it? 3 in a row, 1 every year, but that's what happens. I got there eventually with QPR cup final, but yeah, no, it was great. We went over there about 6 weeks ago, and I walked in the club shop, and they've got this new club manager, the club shop manager, and I was just walking around willy-nilly, and I've done it 2 or 3 times before. I never get noticed.
Oh.
I mean, if I go in the Sheffield United, well, I've been at Sheffield United 38 years. Of course, they know me. But I went in, and my wife Elizabeth had to go up to the manager. I knew she would. I had my head in my hands. I thought, don't say anything. And she said, "Do you know who that is over there?" And he went, "No." She said who I was, and
did they know the name?
He said, "Who's that then?" She said, "Well, he played for Leeds for 3 years," and he said, "Well, I've only worked here for 6 months." And
So that's an excuse.
Yeah, I know. It's no excuse. No excuse.
No, it's
go.
a strange thing to be such a celebrated figure at one particular time and then go back and then nobody know you.
No,
I mean, it's ridiculous, isn't it?
Well, Andy Sinton rung me up from QPR. He's an ambassador there, one of their ambassadors, and he rung me up and he's invited me down to the QPR Sheffield United game,
Right.
which is on a Tuesday night, and the reverse fixture is on a Tuesday night up here, which is it's not as bad as when we played Plymouth on a Tuesday and they come up here on a Tuesday. But the computer, is it the computer still does it, or is it actual manual?
No, it's a computer. It's who feeds the computer, really.
Yeah, well, anyway, it's nice. I'm going to be there that night, and I'm going to get out on the pitch and.
Great.
And I shall have I was down there a couple of years ago and got a great reception from both ends.
Oh, that's unusual, eh?
Yeah,
in this day and age. Very nice guy, Andy Simpson. Joined Sheffield Wednesday later in his career. That one didn't really work out, did it? I didn't think.
I can't remember. 2.75
million he
was
cost,
it?
Same time as Des Walker, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, I can remember him here. Yeah, I was up here then.
Sheffield United, by the way, I read this week, have only spent, I say only, it's a lot of money, £2.8 million in the market on players this summer. But when you consider that Wolves spent 15 million on one player, it puts it into perspective. I said it right. It's a difficult word to say.
Very good, it is.
Unlike you, I've not had a drink for the show tonight.
And nor have I.
And neither has Tony. Elizabeth's waited patiently over there. She doesn't look too bored. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for filling in, Simon.
Pleasure.
That was brilliant.
Absolutely.
Thank you as ever, Tony. That was brilliant as well.
Pleasure.
As always, if you missed it, you've got a chance to catch up on my YouTube channel later or a repeat here at 11. Meantime, see you next week. Bye. Bye.